Hi, this is David Armstrong with another edition of the Musical Theater Factory blog, and I'm back again with Albert Evans. We're talking about Cinderella, and I think one of the things that's very interesting about this version of Cinderella is the humanity that Rodgers and Hammerstein particularly because he wrote the words, brought to the characters. Of really all the characters he gave, and it's very hard to do in a fairy tale because you have sort of very stereotypical, archetypal characters, and then to make them into, sort of three-dimensional, living, breathing humans is not always the easiest thing to do with these kinds of stories.
I mean, take the king and queen, you think of them as very regal, but very two-dimensional characters.
Right, and not really having a...
They have a plot function, but they don't really have a story in a way. You don't really get to know who they are.
But one of the things that Rodgers and Hammerstein did with really the revolution of Oklahoma was bringing these characters, these three-dimensional characters that you care about and are concerned about, to the stage in a way that the musicals maybe in many cases had not done before.
And I think what they did, again, with the King and Queen in Cinderella was they played against your expectation of the king and the queen, very regal and making decrees, and they actually portray them as a middle-class married couple,
right?
In a sense, and
a family with the prince,
a loving family. Their mom and dad. He's their son. They're worried
sort of
about
a 1950s family
exactly.
in a way.
It totally is. And one interesting thing: the original Cinderella, the original television version, starred as the King and Queen, the two actors who had starred in Life with Father, which was like the longest-running Broadway play.
And they were husband and wife.
They were husband and wife in real life.
But they were known in people's minds as mom and dad to the world in a way.
And she was in Life with Father. She was like the loving, patient, put up with irascible dad wife, and they sort of brought those same characters into Cinderella. I think.
It's interesting. Probably Rodgers and Hammerstein were influenced by them and brought that to the writing.
I imagine they will. Once they were cast, they probably thought, "Oh, they're so good at this."
That's right.
And so the king's all grumpy, and his clothes don't fit, and the wife is just sort of forbearing and, "Oh dear, what will we do?" And the son is, he's almost like asking for the car on Saturday night. I mean, they are just a typical American family in this fairy tale.
And what people may not know, remember that Life with Father was one of the longest running plays in Broadway history. It was a huge hit play and would have, most people watching Cinderella on TV in 1950 would have been aware of Life with Father either from seeing it on Broadway or seeing the movie, so that image would have been in their head.
Yeah,
and those
definitely,
characters really influenced what we know of a family, sort of that family dynamic in theater and film was influenced by Life with Father.
And then I think it goes through the cast. I mean, the fairy godmother in this version is very much sort of a skeptical. She sort of teases Cinderella. She doesn't just immediately appear and grant all her wishes.
Right.
She sort of, she said, "Oh, well, you want a pumpkin to turn into a coach. That's impossible." She has that great song, Impossible, that she sings about this. And she sort of strings Cinderella along until Cinderella shows a little spunk. And then it's like, okay, you're ready for your wish.
And perhaps the most memorable aspect of the characters that they created are the stepsisters.
Well, yeah.
I mean, because they really created, I think, two memorable characters, mostly by giving them a song that just sort of...
They have one of the great comic songs in the musical theater.
And tell us what that song is.
It's called Stepsister's Lament, and it's just after they see Cinderella, who they don't recognize, of course, and the prince at the ball, they sing this song about why would a fellow want a girl like her. And it's very, very funny.
And just to remind people who played the stepsisters in the original live presentation on television with
the original
Julie Andrews.
Was Kay Ballard,
right,
and Alice Ghostley,
right.
And so Kay Ballard is loud and brash and big mouth and very funny, and Alice Ghostley just always looks like she's kind of smelled something bad, And then these were just the characters they played in movie after movie and show after
television show after television show. So again, these sort of iconic character actresses that you knew. They brought their own persona to it, and Rodgers and Hammerstein were able to capitalize on that to a certain extent.
Yeah, because they were just about the smartest men in theater at that time.
Exactly.
They knew
And they had that thing
Mm-hmm.
that great writers know how to do, which is write to the people. And I don't know who got
Mm-hmm.
cast, what order the casting and the writing happened.
Right.
But they certainly tailored that material and were influenced by the stars that were in things.
Exactly. They would not have been doing their job if they didn't do it that way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Great. This has been another edition of the Musical Theater Factory. Thank you, Albert. And we'll see you all next time.